So what I will do is that I'll probably take some time to run you through hiring at Google, careers at Google, and then I'll open the floor to any questions that you have. So very often when I talk to people that are not Googlers, there is a lot of caution that comes around applying at Google for a job, because we're considered a company which takes a lot of time to hire. We don't hire those many people very often. We never make the news for hiring 10, 15, 20,000 people. We keep our hiring very small. Our interview process is very well known to be really difficult to crack. And so the first part of my presentation usually is demystifying some of these myths. At Google, the truth is that we do hire very little because we like keeping the company really small and nimble. So you will never see us hiring 40, 80, 90,000 people a year. About interviewing at Google, Google interviews follow a certain trend, and that trend is called that we need to hire by consensus. So at Google, the hiring manager per se, or the person who is hiring for their team, cannot make the hiring decision. So the truth about Google is that if I were hiring for my team, I cannot make a decision on who I want to hire. There will be a panel of about 3 or 4 people that interview this person, and they decide if this person needs to be hired. Now, why do we do that at Google? Because we believe that at Google we want people that are multifaceted, that can work across different teams, that understand our businesses, and people that are general, all-rounders. And we believe that when a hiring manager is interviewing, we somewhere get biased. So at Google, the one truth and the pattern that our interviewing follows is hiring by consensus, which means if there are 4 people interviewing a particular candidate, all 4 need to get into a room, discuss their interview, and then they make a decision on whether they want to hire or no. Why it takes us so long is because once the interviews are over, we have something called a hiring committee where everybody gets in together. They discuss the candidature. They discuss if this person is actually fit for the role they applied with us for. And then the recruiter starts putting together what we internally call the candidate's document of the candidature. And then this goes to Mountain View to our head office, where Larry approves all these offers and sends them back. And Larry is our CEO. And this hasn't changed since the time Google started back in 94, 95. He still believes that he wants to look at everybody that gets hired into the company, and while he doesn't sit and look at the interviews, he definitely goes through the feedback, the interviewer assessment, and now we have it on Google Docs. So we put everyone's name on a Google Doc from different countries in the world, and we send to Larry. And there's a team that works full-time only on this, which means that when you hear the Google CEO actually, or the co-founder at one point looks through all the offers, he does. That's why it typically takes so long. The other one question I always get is, why are Google interviews so tough? Actually, contrary to belief, Google interviews are just a few in number, and that's why they're probably considered tough. Because each interviewer asks different questions and tries to bring out a different facet in the candidate. So for those of you who feel like we ask really difficult math questions and we ask people to design rockets, we don't do that. It's a really simple interview. People get to talk about themselves. We're really interested in what people do for a passion outside of what they study or where they work. And a lot of people ask me that question because when we interview, we generally say, so your resume says you play basketball. Who is your favorite basketball player? And then we can spend an hour talking about it, and we decide if the person is good because we want people that are passionate. So don't think that Googlers are crazy if they're interviewing you and talking to you about one of your passions. We really like to dig deep. We like to find people that like different things to do, because at Google, rest assured you will not be doing the same thing for more than a quarter maybe. Because we have new problems coming up every day. We have new customer problems that come up every day. We need to come up with solutions for our internal mechanisms every day, and that is why we like people that are more all-rounded than people who can talk about just Philip Kotler or like really hardcore marketing theories. Do we not look for experience? I will not say that, because we have different roles, and currently in sales we have roles for freshers and we have roles for people that have experience that are open. So as we look to hire senior people into the company, we look for relevant experience, but we do understand that we're a market which is fairly nascent. So we are in the online sales business, which is not that old. And so we know that not very many people come with an online sales background. So we don't look for people with online sales, but we look for people with relevant backgrounds. People that have done sales, say in an FMCG, or people that have done sales, say in an overseas company, or people that have done customer service in a telephone, in like an Airtel or a Tata Cellular. We have roles for freshers and for people with experience currently open at Google. We only have 3 sales offices for those of you who are in this room. We have Hyderabad, Gurgaon, and Mumbai. Mumbai is a really, really small direct sales office, and the other 2 larger offices are Gurgaon and Hyderabad. So those are the 2 offices that hire. Gurgaon hires more salespeople also. So Gurgaon and Bombay is the direct sales office, and Gurgaon and Hyderabad is the online sales office. So I want to leave the floor open so you can all ask questions and we're not killing anybody by presentation. Yes?
Recently, we have started seeing positions for product management also in Bombay. So is Google setting up a product management office also here?
No, actually. So you're talking about seeing product management roles. You're probably talking about product marketing, product management for marketing.
Something like
we do not have product managers in Bombay for sure.
Project Speed. Project Speed.
Project Speed. We don't have any project managers so far we could have project managers. We don't have product managers in Bombay. So it could be a project management role, which could be for one of the sales divisions, but it's definitely not for product. Our product team sits only in Bangalore and 1 or 2 people in Hyderabad. Like, there's a smaller team that sits in Hyderabad, but a large number sits in Bangalore. Sorry, yes?
What about the technical jobs?
What about the technical jobs? Tomorrow is our G-Day for technical students. I have my counterpart, Ashwini and Vikram, who will be here. You can ask them questions around roles in tech, and they should be able to give you a more specific answer around tech. Yeah? Yes?
I missed the part of the session outside the question. So I just wanted to check, if I apply for a job through careers at Google, is it necessary that I'll get a response to it, or?
That's a very fascinating question. I always get this question, not just at the G-Days, but I've been to multiple conferences for HR and staffing, and a lot of times we get this question when we apply to Google, is it necessary that we will hear back from them? The answer is yes. I used to run the staffing team at Google till just about 5 months ago, and the one OKR, or the one metrics that we track our recruiters on, is that every single resume that comes through the careers, the online careers page, the jobs.google.com page, needs to be reviewed and acted upon. So every resume that comes in is looked at by a recruiter for sure. And when you're rejected, if you're rejected, you get an automated response. And if you're interviewed, you will hear back from the recruiter because they...
time frame for it?
Not more than like a week to 14 days at max, because we get over 500,000 applications almost. So you should check your spam, because a lot of times when Google sends out automated responses, it hits your spam because it says do not respond to this email ID, because if you respond back to it, it'll go into our system, which we will never see. Of course you can reapply, of course. So you can definitely reapply if you applied to a position and you did not hear back, or if you were rejected immediately. But if you interviewed at Google and you did not clear the Google interview and you were rejected, and this is just for broader knowledge, you need to wait 6 months before you reapply. But absolutely, you can reapply. Yes?
What are the qualities you look for in your sales professional?
What are the qualities we look for in our sales professionals? That's a really good question. So Google looks for qualities under different brackets. One is experience-wise. If you're applying for the head of sales position in India, we will expect that you come with a certain amount of experience in sales because you're going to be heading up a team and you will be holding quota and all of that. So in the sales function, we do look for sales-specific experience. If it's a more junior sales role or an entry-level sales role, we probably look at customer service experience or what you come with in the background. During our interviews, the other things that we look for in a candidate are basically how passionate they are, how well-rounded they are, what their interests are, how much they've sort of read up about the role that they've come to interview with us for. Outside of that, we also like people that have done some bit of market research or generally have a knowledge of the market in the field that they've applied with us for, and not for anything else, because it just comes across as genuine interest that you have in the role. So those are a few things that we look at in our candidates outside of the core job. Yes.
How many people do you have in the sales team in Google?
Sorry?
How many people do you have in the sales team in Google?
At Google, we probably have, I can't give you the exact numbers, but we are a little north of 70 people. Yeah, in India. Yeah. And direct sales, that is. Or online sales as well. Online sales as well, we should be about a little north of 600, 700 people.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
You just specified all the resumes are scanned manually.
Yeah.
What I thought was there was an artificially intelligent software which used to.
How can any artificial intelligence computer look at your resume and decide if you're fit for a role?
By parsing it and comparing the JD. So I had one such
No,
product,
no,
so
no,
I thought
no.
you are also using
We have
it.
no algorithm that runs for resumes. We make sure that our recruiters look at the resumes. We only open up and position when we have a recruiter assigned to
Because
it.
what she mentioned that she did not get an email. I have applied to Google quite a few times.
Right.
Never did I get an email back from Google. You definitely get the mail that okay, somebody will revert back to you
Right.
within 24 to 48 hours. That's a message which comes, but nobody
Right.
reverts on.
For sure. So here's why
after
we know that
shortlisting.
people act on your resume. Here is how Google works. When you apply with us, it goes into a recruiter's requisition. It's what we call our internal queues. Until that queue is cleaned, the recruiter gets flagged and he keeps getting emails saying you have resumes in your queue. The minute they go to your queue or go to your resume and reject, there will be an email that will go out to you saying that you have been rejected. So you should check your spam filter and see if you have a Google response, because
regular
typically
check.
you will get it.
Sure.
So that's probably one. Yes.
What are the consumer marketing roles? Is it a transition from the online sales department, or is it done at the entry level?
That's a really, really good question. So it really depends. At Google, we promote internal mobility hugely. So we hire new grads from colleges into fresher openings. That's what we call them in India. Consumer marketing, we also hire from the market, but we need people with experience. So freshers are not hired into consumer marketing directly. They either get into Google, into our online sales business and transfer, or we hire from the market. We hire people that come with experience in consumer marketing. But that's an answer to your question, yes.
Second is the people who have 5 to 6 year experience.
Correct.
Mostly are 5 to 6 year experience,
Correct.
right? I have 3 years experience in SEO. I know the every product of Google. So how?
We have a role open for you as well. It's called the account associate role. If you go online and look for it, there's a role for people with 2 years of experience.
Okay.
It's a business associate program that we hire for.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm from Delhi. I've been applying to Google for online sales as well as the other openings, and particularly I'm working in a bank as part of sales team, taking care of the SME business. And of late, I've noticed that there's a new opening for SMB sales.
That's right.
particularly for
That's
Gurgaon.
right.
But I've kept on applying. I've applied like 2-3 times in the last 1 month, but never got any response on that. So I just wanted to check with you: is there any specific thing that I need to mention in the CV or something particularly? Because it is SME sales which I am into currently, and the opening is also of the same line.
That's right. So a lot of times, that's a good observation. Are we not taking people from banks? That's not true. We've actually hired a lot of people that were bankers initially into our sales finance teams for like a certain, into our sales teams for the finance vertical or other verticals that support SME businesses. In your particular case, there probably has been a recruiter review and, they probably were looking at your experience and it hasn't matched up. Or something like that, but we can look at it. More often than not, our recruiters will look at, and this is a hot job that you're talking about, so I'm quite sure that your resume has been looked at.
Started flashing about 15-20 days ago.
Absolutely, and it is, I know personally that it's a hot job to be filled, so I'm quite sure that if they need to, yes. Yes?
When you talk online sales and who exactly would be your clientele? I mean, if you give me an example.
Oh, so her question is, when you say online sales at Google, who is your client or who's your customer? Google has millions of customers across the globe. And these are all the people that advertise with us. So people at Google that work in the online sales function actually service these customers that advertise with us on Google.
Which could be an example like
AdWords, AdSense, all of that. We service all our customers that advertise with us. Yes.
Someone with cross-functional experience and exposure, as in someone, I mean, I'm a hospitality management guy. I've done my PG in business management. I'm currently working as a content coordinator and everything. So how about if I were to apply at Google, what would be my chances of getting?
You have an as good chance as anybody else
As
because
well as what position? What level would I
you'd
be
probably
applying
have to apply for account planner positions. Those are the
Account
positions,
planners.
account planners or account associate positions, yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Do you look at also people who have experience in other, supply chain or things which are not directly related to Google's product portfolio, but because of which they have got a lot of customer experience?
Absolutely. Any kind of customer experience is very valuable to us because I was telling everyone initially that the business we are in is not that old a business. So online sales as a function did not exist till about 10 years ago, right? And in India even lesser. So we know that our market to get those kind of people is not really thriving. So if you have a services background with customers, it doesn't matter where you've worked or what you've done.
If I don't get a response, I mean, of course I'll apply again. If I don't get a response, is there any number or code? Because I did not get that in the first thing, so I can
No.
track my application.
No.
There's no process.
A recruiter gets back to you more often than not, and I'm more than happy to sort of talk to you about, after this session, talk to you one-on-one on what role you applied for and what the problem was. But you can keep applying till the time, and usually you will hear back from us. So.
Same issue. I've kept applying 2-3 times, but then I didn't receive any feedback.
Right, and like I said, right, we have an automated system that sends out an email as soon as you're rejected. So you should probably go back and check. Yes, sorry, you've been waiting for a really long time.
I just want to know, when we're talking about sales and customer experience, which is there, not always you have a good academic background. That means when you're getting into sales, even if you have experience, you might not be from top 5, top 10 colleges.
Right.
So is that also relevant?
That's a really good question. So her question is, does Google give a lot of importance to the top 5 or 10 universities in the country? And how important is that? We actually don't. We've hired from, if I were to start pulling out a database, we have people from every part of the country, from colleges across different cities in the country. And that doesn't matter. But academia, when you said, when you mean academia, is it only the college, or do you also mean your percentage? Colleges, there is no bar on what college we hire from or what we don't. If you apply with us, we'll take you through if you're a good candidate. But we do look for people that have done well academically, and we don't mean you need to be like a topper in your college, but we obviously will be a little more conservative if the person hasn't cleared exams or has failed that exam. So.
Is there any specific weightage which you give to the location? So let's say if a person from Bombay is applying for a job in Bangalore,
we've hired people from Madurai, Trichy, Kerala. We've hired people from Jammu. So, see, we can't give that preference. We'll make the offer. If they choose to decline the offer, that's up to them, right? We will just not give, we are just not very, we don't do work from home. So that's the one thing. So we only have 3 offices that we can accommodate people in. Bombay doesn't support online sales. So the only 2 offices that we accommodate people in is Hyderabad and Gurgaon. So that's.
What are the direct sales options which Google has?
There are tons of them on the website, actually. So if I started talk one by one, there are lots of them open in direct sales. We have strategists that we need. We have analysts that we need. So we have quite a few roles open in the direct sales organization. Right.
But that was the online direct
It's different. We need hardcore sales experience for direct sales. So,
what does Google have is interaction UX UI designers?
So these questions you can ask tomorrow. Our UI or interface designers are the tech teams hire for those teams, and they are here tomorrow to answer these. Yeah. That's what I was just telling her. We don't really, we don't have a formula that we look for. When we look to hire, we're looking at people that are really, really passionate about what they've done in their lives, what they're currently doing. If they come with a certain amount of customer service background. You have a question? Oh, sorry, I thought you were telling me my time is up. So I was looking at a tag to see if you were Wizcraft, and I was like, he doesn't look like he's from Wiz. Sorry. So we basically, there is no set formula. So we will not say if this person comes from this college, this percentage, and this past company we'll hire. You have to crack your interviews. We need people that can solve problems. So you have to have a certain amount of critical thinking ability. And the interviews are designed in that way. They talk to you about your personal interests, then they talk to you about problem solving, then they talk to you about your interest in Google, those kind of things. But broadly, we look at multiple things before we get somebody on board. Yes?
What are the jobs Google usually outsources? And if it actually does, what are the people who do those jobs?
That is a really good question. We actually do. We off late started off a vendor operation in India. And there are very limited services that we outsource to vendors in India. And some of them can be, there's a Google Maps team that has vendors on it. So we don't have full-time Googlers working on the Maps team. There are vendors that are sitting and doing some work on the Maps team. So we have different we have different vendor teams that we don't talk about generally. They work at our buildings, they work at Google, they are managed by Google managers more often than not. We like that our managers manage our vendors as well. We don't 100% outsource and say do this. You will always have someone from Google watching over. No, no. So we don't do vendor hiring. The Google HR team, which is me and my team, we only hire full-time Googlers. Vendor hiring is outsourced to an external party. So the best way of knowing the difference between a full-time role and a vendor role is that a Google recruiter needs to be talking to you for a Google role.
Ma'am, consider a case wherein you are taking interview of two guys. One is an GCPA, Google Certified Professional of AdWords, and he does not have a good marks like in ACADS, and the other one is having a good ACADS. So which one would you choose?
What was the certificate you spoke about again?
GCPA, Google Certified Professional AdWords.
Right. So when you say did not do well in ACADS, how bad did they fail?
Not exactly. Like in Mumbai University, there is a criteria like it should be above 60%. So he would be above 60%. That's
yeah.
for sure.
So in that case, both of them would be given equal weightage. Whoever clears the interview will get the job.
Thanks.
Sure. We do have we have a very large intern program that we run, but we only kickstart that in November, and we popularize it through our Googlers. So we don't put our internships on the website because India has tons and tons of sales students, and we will be inundated with applications. So we actually, if you have somebody from your college working at Google, you should talk to them because we popularize the program through Googlers.
Hello, ma'am. Is Google hiring only engineers or salespeople, or you're open to, say, hospitality, media?
That is a great question. Google is known to be a technology company, but you do not have to be an engineer to get a job at Google. We've hired doctors, we've hired lawyers, we've hired commanders from the Army and the Air Force.
Have you hired journalists ever?
Sorry?
Journalists, media.
Of course. The AdWords team has a lot of content writers and journalists that wanted to change field of study, and so we did hire them into online sales business. We did. What else? Yes.
Just as an add-on to his question, do you have any creative teams?
We do have creative teams. Unfortunately, Google does not develop content. So if you're a writer, we don't have a job for you. But if you're a writer wanting to make a switch to online sales or to customer services, then you definitely are more than welcome to come to Google. We do have a creative team that we work with for all our needs of, sorry?
Your promotion materials.
Yeah, for all of that, we do have a team, but that team sits out of Mountain View, and that's the only team we have for global teams in the world. We have one team that services the globe for our content. Yes.
Madam, as Microsoft having Microsoft student partner, does Google have any?
Yes, we in fact have something called the Google Student Ambassadors, and we just had the summit for the GSAs in Goa this weekend. That's where I'm coming from.
What are the procedure? In Gujarat, we never heard about Google kind of.
So you should write to us, and we can open up forms for ambassadors. We usually do an outreach basis. Colleges that reach out to us.
Okay. And madam, I'm running my own website, and I have 4 to 5 hours work of free time left. Can I work part time, or can I help for freelancing work from Google?
Google does not do work from home. Google does not do part time, and we do not do freelancing. Okay. All jobs at Google are full time jobs.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Hi. My question to you is that I want to contribute to the. Okay. Hello. Yeah, so I have some suggestions of some concepts regarding some web portals and search engines, but I don't know technicalities, I don't know how to code, I don't know anything in web development.
Right.
So how can I contribute to a big giant like Google, whereas I have some...
As a student or as an individual?
As a student.
Okay.
As a management student, how can I grow as a Googler, a potential Googler rather, whereas I can have easy access to smaller firms. So how does Google give me that extra inch of opportunity?
So let me rephrase the question. I think you asked too many questions in the same question, but I think what you're asking is if you have ideas for Google to grow as a student, how can you implement those and what are the opportunities that Google gives you? So we have a couple of challenges that we throw open worldwide to all students, and they're pretty well popularized on our website. They're called Google Online Marketing Challenges 1, which is for this business side of students. And we have something called the Summer of Code, which is for the engineers. It's called the Summer of Code. So usually these are open to students across universities, and these are the two competitions that people participate in to either develop new products or to give ideas on products or just participate to make sure that Google hears their voice. So if you are a little more active on our student site, so on the job site we have something called the student job site. They actually announce most of our competitions and all of that. So. So it's called the Google Online Marketing Challenge, the GOMC that we launch every year for business students. Sure.
How does it reach you regarding GSA, Google Student?
You just write to us at gsa-in@google.com.
GSA-in
@google.com. So this year we're done with hiring, so maybe next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, do you have any kind of referral priority?
Yes, we do. Okay. So it's interesting that you ask, but Google puts a lot of, gives a lot of importance to referrals. Referrals are primarily people that are referred to Google by other Googlers. And the reason that we really dig referrals is because we believe that we've hired great people, and they can in turn sort of recognize other great people and refer them to Google. So we are crazy about referrals. So if you know somebody at Google, you should definitely get yourself referred for a job. Absolutely. Yes?
Google is taking any CSR initiative regarding the giving training to school students?
Yes.
Because right now when we went to school, we learn about Office. And right now when we went to the college and passed out from them, after that we are aware about the Google Docs and all. So right now in the school student, they are still working on a Microsoft Office, even though we are available Google Docs, and which is free of cost. So the CSR initiative.
So we don't call those CSR initiatives. Corporate social responsibility for us is very different. There is very little to do with Google products when we do CSR. CSR for us is going and painting an orphanage or planting trees or using less plastic within Google. So that is CSR for us, just so you know.
They are going to
what you're talking about is primarily outreach and education.
It's for students.
And making people aware of the products that are available, including students. We actually have a team called the Google Outreach Team, which is the team that organized this entire event called the G-Days. And they do a lot of work in terms of outreach and educating people around what is available and how they can use it. And there's a booth outside that you can go and talk to people that do this really. So
who is the concerned person for that?
I can point you to them.
Spoke about the power of referrals.
Yes.
Now, if an applicant does not know another Googler and he does not have the referral or something like that, what are the chances? I mean, the A/B comparison.
Okay, so let me clarify. Maybe I made it sound like we only dig referrals and we don't care about anybody else.
No, not that way.
So the truth is that referrals are very important for us. And we make sure that we treat them on priority and all of that, but that does not mean that we don't look at people that apply with us online or they get any less importance. So at Google, the way our teams are designed is there's one team looking at referrals and there's another team looking at only our job site. Because the truth is there's no other way a person can apply to Google. We generally do not hire from agencies. You will seldom hear that we've outsourced our hiring. We have internal teams. The good news is that if you're a referral, the person referring you makes money if you get through. So that's the other thing as well, right? But everyone gets equal importance at Google. So if you don't know anyone at Google, there's no problem. We do have a set of recruiters that are actually dedicated only to google.com-jobs. Like there's a full team that does that every day. It's their day job. So you won't get missed in the crowd if you applied online. So,
ma'am, I want to ask, along with English, if a candidate say has a knowledge of writing better in Hindi and Marathi or other languages of India, will that be advantageous? I mean, will he be in an advantageous position?
Not right away. We do look for people with good communication skills, but because you know 13 Indian languages and you can write in 13 Indian languages, that's not something that is great to have. That will definitely add value to your interview because we'll be like, oh my God, this is awesome. But is that the only reason why you'll get a job? Maybe not, but that's a great, great thing to point out in your resume. Because we get very excited when we read stuff like that. And if you're fluent in 13 languages and you write 13 languages really well, we'd be very excited because I don't know if you know, but we have something called a translate team that sort of works on translations and all of that. So we'd be very excited to hire people like that into Google. So we can take one last question, and then anyone who has like one-on-one questions to ask, I'm right here, so you can stay back. Yes.
What is the growth opportunity, or rather a chance for a normal management student who doesn't have an engineering background or science background? What is the potential for him in Google? What all can
That's a great question. We've had people that joined us from different campuses in Bombay, Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, who are now team leads and managers at Google. So they are very different growth paths. We're not only a technology company, we also have a management side to Google.
Yes, it's like I have done research on Google, so I know the fact that Google employs all kinds of people, but
Yes.
what exactly, like for example, a rocket scientist has to do in Google?
Actually, the funny thing is, it depends on the rocket scientist. So we have over 100 roles, open at Google. People join us in the engineering team, move to product. Sometimes join us in sales, move to product. Join us in product, move to sales. Join in sales, move to HR. So really, it depends on the rocket scientist. If he comes in, if he doesn't like what he's doing, then he chooses to move out to another team. But at Google, a lot of our career trajectories are owned by us. But I know people that joined as new grads or fresh hires and are actually running teams today. So,
thank you so much.
Perfect. So thank you so much for being here, all of you. I hope that some of your doubts about Google's hiring process have been cleared. For those of you who have questions, you can actually come up front, and I'm going to be here for a while so we can talk. Thank you.